Hello again, Lockpicking Paul here, and what I got tonight is the reality of picking a lock inside of the housing. So this is a spring-loaded T-handle that you find typically on vending machines, and that in there is an ACE2 tubular lock core, which is extremely common. This configuration is on vending machines, all over America. We have something very similar here in the UK, and I've seen them elsewhere in the world too. The problem with this is this core is sunk right down inside this housing. This spring, and this is a powerful spring here, let's show you this. It's a really powerful spring. That puts pressure, where is it? Yeah, on that. That is the, there you go, so I'll lock that back up. So remember that spring is loaded against that housing on the other side of that bracket in there. So that makes life quite a bit more difficult to pick this, which means if you're using the standard goat wrench like this, let's fit that on there, and it does fit this, but not very well. So let's show you that. Basically it's touching, and the tip of the goat wrench, and if we can see that, is barely on the lock core. Well, that works fine for the first position, but you've got to pick this to 3 positions to get this open. And as you pick it, it gets progressively harder as the spring tension unloads and puts more and more force on the cam, which means you've got to up the tension on this, and obviously what will happen is this will ping out and fly across the room. Not a good solution. Now, typically with a tubular lock, the best way to pick them is using an impressioning tool. This is the Covert Instruments impressioning tool, and it's a very fine tool. Unfortunately, it doesn't physically fit this core. And even if it did, it probably wouldn't work because ACE locks have different rate springs. They've got a mixture of copper and steel springs in here, and impressioning tools don't work on cores that have different rate springs. So you're really left with single pin picking these things. Now, how do we get in there, put enough tension on that core, and take into account the fact that it's sunk right down? Well, you need a new tool. I've got the Covert Instruments equivalent of a goat wrench. I've got other low profile wrenches I've made, but actually we need a high profile one. I don't believe there's one on the market, so I made one. And all this is a 4mm piece of bar from an ejector pin. That's actually a pick handle from a broken pick. Show you it's the absolute perfect width to make a tensioner out of. This is just silver soldered onto this bar. What this allows me to do though is get into a core, hopefully I can see how to do this, and put a ton of tension on there. It's really stable, works really well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get this set up in a vise, angled so we can actually see what's going on as best we can. I'm going to have to do a bit of jiggery pokery with on my desk and with the lights and the camera. So I'm going to be right back. Well, probably not right back, but back in a bit, and we'll get this picked to 3 positions and pop this over open and see what it looks like to actually pick the lock in the housing. All right, see you in a moment. Okay, so what we've got here is a bit of a science experiment with regards to lighting and camera position. I'm trying to find the right balance of me being able to actually see the pins buried down in there and actually have something worth showing. So do bear with me. It's going to be a bit fiddly, the lighting's a bit iffy, but that's what allows me to see the pins, because the light is bouncing off the pin tips, and that helps me see to get on the pins. Normally this is not so much of a problem, but on camera definitely makes life difficult. So we've got to go to 3 positions. I'll try and keep out of the keyway as much as possible. If I don't throw my tool across the desk, we'll be able to pick it. Right, let's get into this. 1, 2, 3, 4. 5. 6 is a 0 lift. 7 is, right, that's the first position. Just going to push that core in and turn it a bit, just to make sure everything's set. When it's in a housing, if the core pushes in as part of a key turn, then you really need to enforce that with the tool. Right, let's go for the second position. One. Two, 3. 4. Unfortunately, the 5th pin is buried right underneath the leg, so I have to pick under that. I think I already said something. Right. Hopefully drop that. Yeah. Okay, we got second. There's that click. That was the handle spring unloading. So everything, all of the tension now is on the cam of the lock plug. Right, let's see if we can finally get the pop. We're near there. That click was the cam turning slightly and the spring really unloading, so it's ready to go, but it definitely gets a little bit tougher in this last. There we go. Whew. Definitely more fiddly inside a housing. Right, there you go, that's it. Hope you enjoyed that. A little bit different. Cheers.